I suppose in a way, I'm a reformed accountant is one way of looking at it. You know, my journey is when I left school, I did accountancy and economics at university in Australia. And I suppose by doing that degree, I always thought I needed to be an accountant. So I went and worked with a large accounting firm so that I could get the best education and training possible. That's what I was told to do by my family, and also all my friends were doing the same thing. And I think we'd all had pretty similar upbringings. So we just sort of learned that that's something you do to get your meal ticket. So I went and did it. And I spent 10 years with Arthur Andersen. First 18 months or so was in auditing, which in a way was a great experience. And then I became a tax specialist, which for the most part, I love doing. And I had a great opportunity to work in Southeast Asia for 4 years, in Singapore and Thailand. And I think there's something that happened to me there that was important, in that I went to places where I had to be a little bit more of an entrepreneur. I had to stand on my own 2 feet more. There was less structure. And because I was a foreigner dealing with foreign clients in those environments, I had more freedoms, which also meant I had to perform. I had to live up to it. But also I was handed the reins of training, and I did a lot of training of taxation systems, even though I didn't maybe know the most in those countries because I was a bit of a newbie. And that got me in love with educating people, because I always loved to educate. And when I went back to Australia, I was put in charge of the tax training programs for everybody below a manager level. And I love standing up the front and teaching the others the methodology in a way to read the tax code, to understand the tax code, how to deal with commercial situations. So, that was my early career, but somewhere I lost my passion for very heavy tax research. I think working in a large firm started to not agree with me. And I thought, I'm 30 years old. I've got to make a choice. Now, do I stay with it and progress to the next level? Or do I go out on my own? I'm not married. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. I'm not affecting other people's lives. I can just go out and do it. But at that point, Nikki, I did know that having been I was fortunate enough in some ways to be an investor myself through helping my family, but also some of my own exploits. So I understood what it was to get good and bad client service from accountants, lawyers, and financial advisors and whatnot. And I always felt that humans needed to be understood. And so that was a driver there to go and do something maybe that was unique myself, but I didn't know really what it was. And I had the sense that I have to go on the street with nothing and figure it out, because I'm not going to figure it out sitting in the accounting firm, and I need to go and try things to work out what would work. But I also looked at the people above me at the time, and they weren't all happy doing what they were doing. And I thought, yeah, okay, so I don't need to follow that path. And, they were great people, but it was a tough place to work. So at the end of the day, I left, put myself out on the street. I set up a few months later what became a wealth management firm. I got licensed. I actually did an MBA course. I don't tell many people about that, but that's what I did in entrepreneurship. And I did a financial planning course. So I got a diploma in financial planning. I became a certified financial planner in effect, and started acquiring clients. And we did all sorts of things. So I did some deals with them. I did some investing. But I got to about 3.5, 4 years into the business, and a friend of mine asked me one day, Hugh, what are you really passionate about? You don't seem that happy with what you're doing. And I said, I don't think I am. And she said to me, well, what are you passionate about? And I'd never, ever answered that question before, been asked it, and certainly not answered it. But immediately came out of my mouth was that I wanted to help people all over the world become self-empowered. And that rocked me at the time enough, more than rocked me, it completely jolted me through every chord of my body. And I went and thought about, okay, what does this mean? And I was smart enough to know, okay, if that message is coming to me from nowhere, it means something. Because I'd already been writing a journal for a few years. I was trying to work out who I was really. And so, you know, I took that and thought, okay, how am I going to operationalize this and what am I? And I thought at the time that I was a mentor to people, and that being a wealth mentor to people, I was good at giving them rational financial advice, what to do with their investments, how to deal with their life. And so that felt good to me. It wasn't just pure managing money. There was more going on in dealing with people's lives. And I knew that this wasn't going to be about teaching people what a stock or a bond was. It was about teaching them about themselves. And that set me on a journey, to explore it more. And I realized, okay, if I'm going to do this well, I need to understand people. I need to understand behavior. So I read my journal that I've been writing for 3 or 4 years, from about the time I left Arthur Andersen. And in there was all this commentary about human behavior, human behavioral systems, what, is instinctive behaviors. People have these behavioral flips. I could see it going on when I did tax advice. Everyone wants to avoid tax, but the moment that the pressure came to either signing the tax return with this huge claim in it, they'd back off, or they get very upset if there was ever a claim from the tax office or whatever. The people's risk appetites are not what they would say it was. Under pressure, people make all these emotional decisions. So I was figuring out there's something else going on when people are under pressure. And I was lucky enough to have somebody step into my life right on the day that I needed it, who explained to me what natural instinctive behavior was. And her name is Carol Pocklington, who works on our team.
Yep.
And it all clicked. And I thought, okay, I said, Carol, I've got to have a system. There's nothing out there that does this in the whole area of financial personality. Even really at the time, there wasn't much that I could see out there in just general team building, talent development. You need to help me find a way to have this. And I think that became the transformational point for me. And, I was sitting at home one day, Nikki, and I was thinking about all this. How do I piece it together? How do I build a business? And the client said to me, Hugh, you are our wealth mentor. We don't just come to you for investment. So, okay, I knew that I'd gone to a new place, but I was still in this self-development phase, and this would have been 2001. Now, so it's a year after, the year I met Carol. So probably the end of that year, I'm sitting at my house with Carol, and I realized I had a big decision to make. Do I go down the path of building behavioral systems, full on commercializing them? That probably meant going into the American market because they would understand it more. Or do I stay in Australia and I build out the wealth management business, but I do more work in real estate because I was always good at dealing with real estate? And that was a really big tear for me, because my whole identity was at stake, because people saw me at this time as this very rational business guy, good at dealing with money, that perceived, that I was a great investor, et cetera, and how I was living, and could see me as an accountant, tax advisor, wealth manager. But there was this other role side to me that had not been unlocked. And I knew from my boyhood dreams, and this might sound soft to a lot of people, but I got in touch with what those were. I wanted to have a global business, and I wanted to have my opportunity to do it, and I wanted to have my opportunity to build a brand in it, not just invest in other people's global businesses. which I a little bit been doing in areas like telemedicine and cybersecurity. So I was already onto those things back then, so I could see things early. And I thought, this is it. I've got to change paths here, but it made me cry. I sat there and I cried in my house, and I thought, okay, no one's going to understand me. What in the earth is Hugh doing, and why is he going to start pushing his pathway across to America? I'm leaving a great lifestyle, every trapping in the world, friends, whatever, but I have to do this for myself to unlock my own potential. And that's really the pathway to where we are today with DNA behavior. Okay, this is 20 years ago now, just around now, 20 years ago, we announced our 20-year birthing or founding. Last week was when I first ventured into building systems, but I hadn't yet committed to a globalization path or anything like that at that point, but I probably knew that's what it would be. And that's where it's been. And it's been, that journey of sticking at it, because my purpose was there. I wanted to empower people. I wanted to help them understand who they were so they could make better decisions in their life, live a life of meaning, fulfillment, unlock their human potential. And that's what I'm about. And in a way, I was about that before that, I think, but I didn't know how to do it. And it was expressed in a very different way, in a very different career path. But now it's, much more behavior. But I think there's a coming together of the two. They don't work together. It's not just human behavior. It's the financial piece tied in together. So that's a long explanation of, how we've got to this place today. But it's been, definitely for me personally, a journey of discovery, searching, but always moving forward in that direction and taking it. And as each life experience has come, it's narrowed down a bit. It's got a bit tighter. I've made mistakes along the way. I'm human too, whether it's with people or decisions. But for the most part, I'm still standing and breathing. So that's a good thing. And we've got a team, and you can see it. We've got opportunities that we're launching in the UK, South Africa, Hong Kong right now, America and Canada and Europe, along with, we've touched a lot of other places. And so I'm glad I in a way stuck to the dreams, found this other side of me. And, I enjoy the leadership of it, but I also enjoy what it stands for each day, and also to, in a way, help other people. I think, we talked about this before, trailblaze their pathways too, because that's what's going to unlock them, but have the confidence to do it.